That's my grandmother.
But, Socks, how long were we gone?
Meow, 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 meow. 62 years, 7 months, and 5 days.
What?
Mission failure imminent. In 3,
Grandma always said she believed in you.
2, 1.
In 1995, a boy named Andy got a Buzz Lightyear toy from his favorite movie for his birthday. This is that movie. Lightyear is about the maroon space ranger of Star Command, Buzz Lightyear, spending years attempting to return home until he encounters a robot army controlled by Emperor Zurg, after jumping through time, who aims to steal the power source that can return Buzz and his crew to their home planet. This film marks Pixar's return to theaters after having its previous 3 films skip theaters for a Disney Plus release. But anyways, the Toy Story films were never a big part of my childhood. They were my childhood. And even though I was satisfied with how they ended the franchise with Toy Story 4, I was open to the idea of this film since the trailers made it seem like it was taking on a completely different tone and atmosphere than the Toy Story films, and act as a darker, action-infused sci-fi film. I might as well start off with the animation. As usual, Pixar has outdone themselves. The film is a visual marvel with so much detail thrown into every frame, and most of the designs for some of the characters and sci-fi technology have taken some inspiration from films like Interstellar and Star Wars, but also have the right amount of originality to give the environment a simple yet creative Pixar feel. And while I'm pretty knowledgeable on telling what's animated or not, some of the backgrounds in this film were able to dumbfound me with how incredible they looked. This film also has a great direction during most of the action sequences and space scenes with their pacing and large scale. This is the directorial debut of Angus MacLane, who previously made 2 short films and a Halloween special for Pixar, and you could tell he was able to find his own style when making this, and I'm excited to see what he does next, possibly with an original project. The score also has this nostalgic charm to it, where it executes that fun, adventurous feeling in classic Disney and Pixar films, sort of like something you would hear at one of their parks. I also really love this film's energy. It has that fast-paced, adventurous feeling the Toy Story films gave off. But thankfully, this still doesn't completely feel like a Toy Story film, through the large scale and sci-fi story I already mentioned, and having it be more action-based with higher stakes. And it allows the movie to stand as its own franchise, separate from the Toy Story films. Overall, this film just has this strange nostalgic charm with how it calls back to the more adventurous-based Disney films of the past, which I'm sure was the intention considering how nostalgic older Pixar films have become over the years for those who grew up with them. And considering this was supposed to be Andy's favorite movie as a child, and he represented those who grew up with Pixar and Toy Story 3, yeah, they knew exactly what they were aiming for when creating this film. However, I feel like there's a couple of major flaws with this film that hold it back from being one of Pixar's best in a while. For the most part, this movie just kind of felt like it was putting its spectacle over its screenplay. There are a couple of greatly thought out emotional moments in the film, but due to the fast pacing and the constant need to get right to the next action scene, a lot of those crucial character moments are lost because of this, and they aren't as fleshed out as they should have been. There are also a lot of jokes that kill the more serious tone of the movie. Most of the gags are delivered at the wrong times, whether it's during an action scene or literally a few seconds after a more emotional moment. The jokes themselves are also pretty cringy in general, with the exceptions coming from, well, you know, the actual comic relief. They also have that whole, oh no, the main character has problems working with others cliche in here, and it's pretty contrived for the most part, and the movie doesn't do anything new with the concept. However, they do a little more with Buzz's character through his time jumps during the film. I love how real the sacrifices were in this movie. Buzz gives up decades of his life for the crew of Star Command and finishing his missions, missing out on seeing his friends live their lives, form a society, and finding comfort in their situation, and builds up extremely well in the conclusion, where Buzz is met with a difficult choice that would benefit him, but possibly cause everyone around him lose everything they spent years of their lives building, and must consider what's best for him and his people, and it's honestly fantastic. And even though I missed Tim Allen, who wouldn't, I was pleasantly surprised by how well Chris Evans fit the role of Lightyear. His style of acting helps establish his Buzz as the more mature, serious action hero version of the character, when compared to Tim Allen's more comedic, buddy sidekick, child's plaything Buzz that audiences have come to know. And it didn't take long for me to associate Evans with the new version of Lightyear, and His voice fits the character shockingly well. I also wasn't expecting to love Peter Sans Socks as much as I did, and as I said, the majority of good jokes came from him. I did play an important role in the overall story, which I certainly was not expecting from a comedic relief character in a modern animated film. Keke Palmer also had a great performance as Izzy Hawthorne, and I enjoyed the quirky, energetic nature she brought to the character on top of her struggle to live up to the expectations of Buzz and Star Command because of her family name. And there are a couple of nice moments that play into that part of her character. Although, on the other hand, while I love Taika Waititi to death, his character honestly wasn't all that funny. I think I had a chuckle or two at a few of his jokes, but his character wasn't anything too special and got old pretty fast. And while James Brolin did a great job as Zurg in my opinion, he's shockingly barely in the film despite this being a Buzz Lightyear movie. And because of that, we don't get a lot of time to establish him as grand of a threat as he's supposed to be. And by the time they reveal his motives in the conclusion, it felt a little too late to make the impact it could have, but I'll give the film this. This was the first twist in a Disney movie that caught me off guard in a long time, and the motivation did make sense considering where the film was heading at that point. Although I could see these flaws either going away or becoming bigger on a rewatch, which I would definitely like considering the jokester technology in my theater wouldn't play the audio for the film correctly. Yeah, no joke, during my screening, the audio for the film would cut out completely at random moments for a couple of seconds during the film. 2 of which were during important plot points. Seriously, just picture that. You're trying to casually watch something and then the sound just randomly stops working. Imagine how annoying. But hopefully none of you guys have to experience something like that. But just to clarify, I'm not putting any of that against the film. That was just the fault of my theater. I just wanted to share that crazy part of my experience. Although my audience seemed to be just as angry when that happened, and rightfully so.
To infinity?
Hey! What's the deal? Boo!
While it's not as great as many probably expected, Lightyear is a solid film from Pixar that has the fun, energy, and appeal in the veins of a classic Disney adventure, but also has enough originality to stand on its own, even if it could benefit from a stronger script. Despite being great to have Pixar back in theaters, this sadly wasn't one of Pixar's best. It didn't really push their storytelling or filmmaking like the marketing made it look, but it's harmless as an enjoyable sci-fi film that calls back to the earlier Disney or Pixar movies that took on the role of a more simple adventure, even though those films probably had stronger screenplays and fleshed out their emotional core better. Either way, if you have a certain nostalgia for the Toy Story films or love the more action-based Disney movies, you're most likely going to be pleased by what this film has to offer. I'm giving Lightyear a 7 out of 10. So those are my thoughts on Lightyear. What did you think of it? Are you excited to see Pixar back in theaters? Are you a major Toy Story fan? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this review, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this.
To infinity.
Are you trying to get me to pull your finger?
Don't fall for it.
No, not like that.